Hiya, so today we're going to have a look at some leg exercises, looking at the hips, opening the hips up, getting some mobility. We're also going to look at a little bit of rotation and a little bit of strength in the legs as well. So I'm just going to run through some exercises. I'll let you know how many times to do them, and then you can give them a go at home, and hopefully they'll start to help with your golf, your mobility, and your strength as well. So we're simply just going to start off doing some inchworms. So we're going to try and keep our legs straight throughout all of this, because then we're going to really start to work in the hamstrings and get a little bit more flexibility in the hamstrings. Obviously really good for golf. When we're going into setup, we need some flexibility in our hamstrings to be able to make our hip hinge. Okay, so that really, really helps. So what we're going to do is, and if you feel like you need to bend your knees, take your feet a bit wider, and then as you get better, you can bring them narrower. So we're going to keep the legs straight. We're going to walk the hands out until you get into a sort of full press-up plank position. Then we're going to do tiny steps in with the feet until you feel that you can't go any further without your knees bending, okay? When you get to that point, we walk our hands out again, and then we go again. And each time, just try and get a little step closer in. As you start to warm up, you'll get further and further along. So I'd like you to do 6 to 8 of these to start to warm up. Take your time, do really tiny steps, really start to work through the hamstrings. We're then going to go into the perfect stretch. So we'll be in this position here. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to drop this elbow, keeping it close into the ankle, down towards the floor. So it's coming down to here. Doesn't matter how far you can get down, if it's only to here, if it's to here, or if you can go all the way down. You should feel a stretch under here. We're going to hold for 3 seconds. Then we're going to rotate up. We're going to rotate through the thoracic spine. We're going to open up the chest. We're going to hold for 3 seconds. Then we're going to put both hands down. And we're then going to try and straighten out that front leg, once again getting into that hamstring again. Hold for 3 seconds, and then we would repeat the same thing. So down, 1, 2, 3, up, 1, 2, 3, and then straighten out. And I'd like you to do that 5 times on each side. Then, if you do have any of these mini bands at home, or a band that you can tie, we're going to put it around here. Okay, if you don't, I've got loads, so just let me know and I can send a couple over for you. So we're going to go down into a half squat position, and we're going to keep tension on the band all the time. Step out, step together. Okay, so this is starting to fire up our glutes. It's a really good workout, really good as well before you play golf. I quite like doing this, doing 2 steps, and then doing a torso rotation as well in there, which is quite a nice golf warm-up. Then you'd go back the other way. So I'd spend sort of a decent length going there and back, maybe 4 or 5 times each. Really work into those glutes. You should really, really feel that. Okay. The next thing I wanted to look at was also your pelvic tilt. So it's just understanding, basically, neutral, anterior, and then posterior. If you want to really practice this, the best way to do it is on the floor, because what you can do is you can be neutral, then you can make the arch under your back, which is pushing your hips forward, and then you can push your hips down into the floor, and that would be posterior, okay? So you can practice on the floor, just getting that pelvic tilt motion. Then what we'd do is go to all fours, and instead of doing the cat stretches in where you'd just push up through the top of the back, I want you to focus on the lower back and just using the pelvis to go through those 3 torso positions, which are obviously extremely important in your golf, okay? Because we don't want to be, in our setup, we don't want to be too hunched over or anything like that, because then we're going to obviously lose rotation on the way back. So just really starting to understand your hip positions is really, really good. So then what we would do is we'd go to a standing position, and then you would just practice going through those motions there. Okay? Then what we would like you to do is we'd like to do some rotations. So just keeping everything still and just rotating the upper body. Okay, so this is starting to help with disassociation between the upper and the lower body, which is really, really important for golf. But then what we can do is we can then go onto one leg and do the same exercise. So we can go onto one leg, and do the same exercise. So I would sort of do 10 rotations on each leg. This is also working on balance, which is really, really important in your golf. Obviously, the more balance and the more core strength we have, the more speed we can probably put through our swing, and still the ball goes in the right direction. So that's really, really important. And this is such a good exercise for warming up before you play golf as well. So I would put some of those in. The next thing I would like to show you is a really good exercise. Once again, I would put this in before I play golf. You can use a club, and you're going to basically do a stalk. So you're going to tuck that foot in behind that knee, and you can have this for balance. And what we're trying to do is this knee is trying to come across our midline, so we're getting internal rotation. So most professional golfers have over 45 degrees of internal rotation on both legs. Really, really important in the swing as well. And we're going to come across like this and then back. And I'd do about 15 of these on each side, just really trying to work that internal rotation. And then I'd switch legs and do the other side. Okay? After that, I just want you to look at, we're going to open up the hips a little bit. We're going to work the hips. So we're going to have the legs at 90-degree angles. So you have a gap between here. This knee should line up with, this heel should line up with this knee. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just lean over this front leg, and you're almost trying to push this glute away from this knee. So you should feel a stretch through there. Okay, I would hold this for about 30 seconds. Then I would sit back into this position here. So we're forcing this leg into some internal rotation, and we're keeping both knees on the floor. From there, what we're going to do is we're going to go onto the toe of this back leg, and we're just going to open and close this leg here, whilst keeping that knee on the floor. Okay, and I'll do 8 of those on one side. And then what you can do is you can just flip over, and you'll automatically be in the right position to do the other side there. Okay, so I'd go through that just to sort of start to work the hips, open those hips up. Then I'd like you to go into some clock lunges. So it's really important to be opening those hips up as we've just started to do those, but also working a little bit of strength in the legs. So we're going to start off, we're going to lunge forward, this knee is going to come down. We want nice 90-degree angles here, so we don't want to be too far over the foot, and we're going to step back to there. Then we're going to go out to the side, this leg will stay straight, we're going to bend this leg, make sure that you don't rock over onto that foot, so we're coming to there, step back together, then we're going to reverse the lunge here, step back, and then we're going to curtsy lunge. Okay, so I would go through that 4 times on each side. So forward, side, reverse, curtsy. And then once you've done that, if you go over onto the other side, the next exercise you can do, if I had a longer band up here, I would have shown you, but we'll use a club, and I'll just sort of show you what you would be doing. So even probably with that smaller band, but normally a slightly longer band, we're going to go into a split squat position. So a bit like a lunge, but as we do it, we're going to rotate over this front leg. If you've got a band, what you can do is you can start to pull on the band as well. So that's going to activate your shoulders. You can get about 20% of your power from your shoulders in your swing. So, you know, if you're warming up for golf, this is great because we're working on balance, we're firing the legs up, and we're starting to activate the shoulders as well. This is also really, really good for disassociation, making sure that, you know, one part of the body is moving and the other part is more stable. So, as we come down, we're going to rotate round to here. Okay, so the upper body is rotating, the lower body is staying straight, so we're not letting that knee come out like this, and back up. If you do 6 of those on one leg, then switch over. always rotate over the leg that is in front on this exercise, okay? This would take us nicely into our next exercise, which starts off in the same position, but we're going to have our arms out, and as we come down and then come back up. So nice aeroplane arms, rotate, and then come back up. Once again, 6 of those on each side. I've got a couple more to do with you. So we will go down onto the floor. Your glutes are so important in your golf swing, okay? If we can start to use your glutes, it takes pressure off your lower back. You can get more power in your swing as well, okay? So all I want you to do to start with is lie on the floor, and I want you to just tense one glute. So just tense one side of your bottom and then relax. Then tense the other side and then relax. Then tense both sides and just start to feel that activation and sort of understand switching your glutes on. Once you've got that, I want your back in a neutral position on the floor, and we're just going to do some bridges. So squeezing through the glutes all the way up and all the way down. Okay, we're going to do 10 of those. Then what we would do is we'd go to 10 single leg glute bridges. So one leg out, pushing up, coming back down, pushing up, coming back down. When you're doing these, it's really important to try and keep your hips level. If you feel any cramping in the back of the legs, stop and go back down a level, so maybe go to 2 feet. If you feel cramping, it means that maybe you're activating your hamstring before you're activating your glute, and even go back to just practicing tensing the glutes. Okay, so we don't want cramping in the back of the leg, we just want to be using the glute and not really using the hamstring as much, okay? So if you could go through those activities, and then what I will do is in the next video, we will do some work on core. We'll also do some on balance and some HIIT, and we will do a little video on strength as well. But if you start off with some of those mobility exercises and just some of those rotation exercises, let me know how you get on, and I'll drop you another video next week. Thanks, bye.